You excited?
About what?
About the next month of our life basically being taken up by this planter?
Oh, it won't take that long.
I don't know.
No.
Well, let's just go through it. We gotta take the roll units won't take very long, but
Parallel arms what scared me.
parallel we got all new parallel arms coming. That's gonna be a while. All the pneumatic row cleaners, we gotta take them all apart because half of them are just there's a bunch of crap all like stuck in them, and I think we have some bad bearings, so there's some that don't turn very well. There won't be, I don't know. Depends. Replacing bearings is gonna suck if we have to do that.
It might take you a month.
Yeah, probably.
It won't take me that long.
We gotta add the rake controller. That's a me job.
Yep, that's a person job.
The brushes won't take very long. Maybe it's not as long as I think. I don't know. We'll see. Have you ever seen how to take one of these apart?
Yeah, you showed me one.
Did I? You want to go through it again quick, or?
I think Nick and Nate. I think Jansen showed me too.
Okay. Our seating is still lovely.
Side. I don't know how to do this again.
Yeah, that goes up.
And then how do I do this now?
So this, you just kind of gotta pull it up and out, and then eventually you get up so far, and there's a electrical sensor down there you gotta unplug.
Gotcha.
And then
I'm used to precision system.
there's an electrical connector right there. Yeah, this is our first John Deere planter. I'm super excited about it. Everyone else is a little bit iffy.
Kevin, are they 15 or 15 and a half new? They're 15, right? Are they? If that's the case, I think we're gonna change.
I can call Deere quick too. Let's see, does it say? No. Made in USA, look at that.
I'm sure all the YouTube guys are like, you guys don't know if they're 15 or 15 and a half new? That's common knowledge.
I honestly have no idea. You've always done the disc stuff.
It's been a year. I don't have very good long-term memory.
Yeah, I don't either. You do it once and then forget about it. But we've already started taking apart the planter. Got all the gauge wheels off on this side. We got whole new belts. These new brush belts from like right here are $250 a piece, $230 on sale, times 24. Very expensive.
They're 15 new.
So we're good for a year.
Yeah.
We'll
see
see.
how the rest of them are. That one is good.
this
that was
row.
probably the one they replaced at the end of the year.
You know what else I just thought of we have to do?
What?
Your fertilizer thing back here.
Yeah. But two of us working on it. I mean, it'll be in here for a month, but we won't be working on it
Yeah.
that often.
So the PIP just got done for all the sensors on the hydraulic downforce, and then we also got, where is it at? Hard to see in this planter. Gotta climb up here. We got the frame weight distribution kit put on just now, which this thing looks sweet. That should help out a lot. And we have a marker wheel coming. I forgot about the marker wheel. They did finally send it. We bought this planter and it showed up here missing a marker wheel. So the dealership we bought it from is sending us that.
Bart just said whenever you replace a disc,
Yeah, replace these two.
he said it's just, most people just replace these.
Okay, so because like that, is that normal wear right? Oh, that's meant to be like
That's
that.
meant to be like that. You'll see the wear on the sides here.
On the sides and maybe on the bottom a little bit.
It looks pretty good.
Yeah.
So.
Gosh, these are kind of, they have a hardened side to them.
Yeah. That must be a
new thing.
for the Exactamerge. It must
Yeah,
be done in Exactamerge.
because the 1790 did not have that. And then once I get all these gauge wheels off, I'm gonna take these off because there's a few pulleys that are bad in these belts as well. I remember seeing. I don't know how much those are gonna be, but I only think there's like 10 of them or something. progress is being made. We basically have a bare unit at this point. Went around, took everything off. We think that we can use most of these discs here for this next season. There's a couple, like this one has a nice nick taken out of it right there. Not for sure if we're gonna reuse that or not. And then got all the belts off. Now we're gonna replace all these belts because the story of this planter is that the person who owned it before us had it a year longer than they were supposed to because they ordered a 2022 planter to replace it, and the 2022 planter got held up at the factory and it never showed up. So they used it a year longer than they were supposed to, and because of that, they just kind of replaced parts they needed to replace and it replaced everything like they should. Because normally, like these belts, what you do is you replace all of them at one time, all 24. And they replaced like half of them. So half of them are really good and half of them are absolutely shot. And you know, if I had a planter for a year longer than I was supposed to, I would have done the same thing. So I don't really blame them. But this is actually a nice one. I just took one apart. This has a nice belt in it and a nice pulley, but a lot of these pulleys in the bottom are absolutely shot as well. So I gotta go through and take inventory of what we all need there. But all the new belts are sitting in those boxes right there. I went ahead and took a lot of these off because a lot of these row cleaners have a bunch of crap in them like this. And so we're gonna clean all these up, see which ones need new bearings. As I started to clean them up, I think a lot of them can just be greased and then put back on, hopefully. That would save a lot of time and money as well, especially time. And then I climbed up top, and just let me show you, this is kind of bothersome. So earlier off camera, I climbed on top of the planter like this, and I was trying to find a spot to mount our Raven 440 rate controller, like the flow meter, the ball valves, and the butterfly valve, because we want to be able to use like prescription maps for applying fertilizer and stuff. And the easiest way would be just to put a John Deere rate controller on and run it through the monitor. But first of all, it's kind of expensive, and second of all, the Raven 440 is so easy to use. I'll put a picture of one up on the screen for those of you guys who don't know what that is. And to me, just the ease of use and being able to put my dad or my brother in the cab and they know exactly how to use it is worth the extra monitor in the cab. And you can backfeed it to a John Deere monitor, so you can still run a prescription map off of these Raven 440s. So I was just looking, I'm like, I'm gonna mount it right here. I'm pretty sure it's just a nice, simple, solid spot. There's nothing else mounted here, and it's right next to all the hoses. But as I was looking at this, I saw this marker is cracked all the way around on both sides. I'm surprised this thing is actually still together. And if you look over here at this one has already been welded a bunch. Not very well either. So I sent a picture of that to my welding friend, the one that actually welded my dirt bike engine back together. And I'm waiting for a response to see what he says about that, see if that's fixable. The thing is that even though we have all this new technology coming, where we won't have to use markers for end rows anymore, I still don't want to be without markers, because let's say some bizarre thing happens and we don't have access to GPS anymore. Like let's say World War III breaks out or something. You always gotta be prepared for a worst case scenario. And for some reason, if we don't have GPS access, I still want to be able to plant my crops. So it is important to me to have good working markers on my planter, even if I don't use them. So hopefully that can be fixed good enough to get us by. And if not, there actually is somebody on Facebook that is selling 1770 markers. So if I'm told that won't work, I might have to look into those new markers.
Tomorrow.
Okay, it's the next day now. I got up this morning and I went around and I took all the covers off of all these brush belts. Some of these brushes look pretty dang good. Some of them, this side actually looks all pretty good. Some of them are not so hot. But what really irritates me is some of these pulleys on the bottom are absolutely shot, like this one right here. This is what they're supposed to look like brand new. And they're like wearing a weird edge around this bottom. And I was told that might be because these guides are getting bad, but these guides actually look just fine along here. So I was like, ah, no big deal. I'll go get some new pulleys. Guess how much a new pulley is? $64 for this little pulley. And you need 24 of them. So it's just, stuff is starting to rack up very quickly on this planter. I also took apart this old Raven system, this rate controller that my dad bought on an auction pretty cheap. And I just hooked up to the battery quick. I've been playing with it, and the valves work, and those are usually the things that go bad. So we are in business. It's actually Raven 450. I said 440. Same thing, just more sections. And then while we're working on the planter in here, in the north part of the shop behind us, for part of our organization project, they're actually putting in spray insulation today. Can we really go in there when they're doing it, or? Yeah? Yeah. Probably not supposed to, but
Not very long.
I'm gonna do it anyways. So this was our storage room up until probably about a month ago when we started cleaning it out. And it is starting to look very nice. So they put foam in between all the frame supports, and then they're putting spray insulation on top of that. So that way, if in the future we gotta take some tin off the walls or something, if you put the spray insulation directly on the tin, it's extremely hard to change that tin out, and then you lose all that spray insulation. So this way, if we get a hailstorm on the side of the building or something, we can replace the tin and not have to worry about the spray insulation. And then Chris is going through, he's putting the discs back on, and he's checking the spacing. So you want to show him your card trick?
Yeah, so take 2 business cards, Chris Kaler Wiffles, and you put them together till you hit resistance, and you want to measure about 1.5 inches or 2.5 inches between the business cards. And this one here about 2.25. And then I usually try to check it in 2 or 3 different places, because sometimes the C-disc can be bent slightly. So like here, we're closer together, hoping it's still more than 1.5 inches, about 1.75 inches. I'll probably check it one more different place. These C-discs are fine. They're 14.75. We'll use them for another year, but they are a little.
But I say they're kind of nicked up a little bit.
I'm guessing there was there's a rocky field or something. So
Yeah, I mentioned it earlier in the video. One of these discs over here is a pretty good notch taken out of it. Does that really affect much, or? Maybe a little bit.
A little bit. Probably not a lot.
Okay.
Some. I hate to see them all nicked up, but if there's a nick here and there, it's probably not a big deal.
Yep.
Where's your
Torque wrench?
torque wrench?
Right on top of the brush belts right there. So then if these discs are too close together or too far apart, there's these little spacers that you add or subtract from the studs coming out of the unit right there.
If you add a spacer, it's about 1/4 inch with the cards, 1/4 to 1/2 inch, and the same if you remove one.
Oh,
So it's
I did not know that.
pretty cool. I mean, not that's not science, but it's close.
Yeah. Do you want to keep this fancy little wrench that our new chair came with?
No.
We're upgrading from 5-gallon buckets. We bought a, we splurged and we bought a nice roller chair. Not a nice one, we bought a cheap roller chair. So on this ExactEmerge unit, you have these belts instead of a seed tube. So the idea is that a seed gets put in the top of the belt, and then these brushes hold the seed in place rather than bouncing it around. So these belts spin the same speed that the tractor is going, so that way it actually spits the seed backwards at the same speed you're going forward, so it's like a dead drop. And it provides extremely good singulation spacing under high speeds. But this belt actually looks pretty good. I don't think we'd have to replace it. But these pulleys are getting wore out down here. And I just contacted our service department at our local dealership, and he says he hasn't really heard of it happening, but he thinks it's just a wear thing. He thinks I just replace the pulley and call it a day. The top ones all look pretty good. It's basically just the bottom ones that are pretty wore out. But they're pretty easy to replace. 10mm socket, wrench, 2 bolts, pop it out, put a new one in, call it a day. 24 times. There we go. I went through every single brush drive unit. I replaced the brushes in every single one except for one. There was one, I don't remember which one, it was somewhere over here. There was one belt, this one right here, that was replaced very, very recently by the previous owner. So I kept one belt in there, replaced 23, replaced 16 pulleys. A few of them had looked like they had been replaced very recently. And now we have a stack of 23 used brush belts. Some of them are actually in pretty dang good condition yet. And we think we'd be willing to sell like 12 of them off. So if you guys are in need of some cheap brush belts that are still fairly good condition, there's a link down in the description to contact me, let me know. So not only does the row unit itself have a fair amount of slop, but our closing wheels also have a fair amount of slop. We got new parallel arms coming. In fact, they got shipped out today. But these closing wheel brackets, you can actually replace these bushings. Here's some of the bad ones. You can see they're pretty wore out along this side right here. Along this side, and this one actually has a tab broken off. And you replace those bushings, and it helps solid up these closing wheel brackets a lot. Are you going through the bearings on these closing wheels too, or?
Yeah, I'm just making sure they spin somewhat freely. The person before us used fertilizer, and it's, you can see it's caked in there.
Yep.
And some they got in the bearings of the closing wheels. So, last year I got good at taking the bearings out.
Okay.
I can do it in about 15 minutes, but it's kind of a process because this rubber outside
Has to come off.
and you get the hard part's putting it back on. It's easy to take it off. The hard part is putting it back on.
I can about imagine. It's like the lights in the highboys. Taking them off was easy. Putting them back on was a pain in the butt.
A lot of people just buy new ones because they're so cheap. But
Yeah.
trying to save a dime here and there, I guess.
Yep. So I think that is going to be all for this video. There's going to be a lot more stuff coming on the planter. I just talked to a potential sponsor today. We might be getting some pretty cool tech on this planter that I don't think any other farm YouTuber has. I don't even know any other farmers that have it. It's pretty new to the United States, so that's pretty cool. So stay tuned for that, get subscribed, and if you want to buy some brush belts cheaply, hit the link down in the description. I'll see you guys in the next one.